Zooming with the homies,
Yeah.
wording is hard. Um, and now him and Farron's podcast, like, I'm taking jewels from them, and I always, try to support in any way I can. So, my hope is to, hopefully get him on the show one day, and just to tell him, hey, thank you. I'm dropping super chats and cash apps every time I get a chance to, but I want to support, via Patreon, and every time a social keep your distance comedy show comes up, I try to get those too, and I want people to do the same thing about when I, move forward with my company. I want to have Landover Legend Studios in the future, and that's all going to take for me keeping up my fortitude and thinking outside the box, and trying to be, someone like you, someone I feel as though is a great businessman, and not in business, but in, all walks of life, So, like I said before, I can't wait for you to drop that book and to get to see the reception from it, because, just having this conversation with you, it opened my eyes to a lot of things. And, I'm trying to get in the lane and follow you, because I see where you're going, and it's up.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, man. It's all about it's all about legacy, man. I One thing that I take from the older generation, and I think a lot, I think we knock the older generation so much that we don't value some of the things that they had. Um, and one thing that the older, like the elder guys in the church, will always tell you about your name, right? And just recently, like really this last year, for me, that's been a big thing. That's why it's called Burton Equities, right?
Hmm.
Because like there's a scripture in the Bible says a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And most people think that's money, right?
Hmm.
That's not, I mean, if you leave a strong foundation, the money is gonna follow. But when you leave an inheritance, that's like if I'm leaving my last name, okay, so in the community of Gary, when you hear the last name Burton, they're gonna initially think of my wife and myself and our family. So now my children have to live up to that name. And that's a big thing, right? Because that becomes a guiding tool for my children. Because if you set up that name, right, to be something that's attached to integrity, success, hard work, hard work ethic, you see what I'm saying? Wisdom, knowledge,
Hmm.
and they're forced to live up to that. Because whenever they fall short of that, the community is going to remind them, like, nah, no, you this ain't you. It's almost like when you see the royal family, right?
Hmm.
There's an expectation for anyone that comes out of that family. There's just a certain level of expectation from anybody, right? That comes out of that family. So for me, that's what leaving the legacy is. So that's one thing that I think we all should do. If we go that route, and for me, my legacy is attached to the purpose that God has given. So I never leave God out of it because I'm not like some genius, literally. Most of this stuff is because God has given me a purpose, and I look at that, and that's my guiding. This is how I'm going to get this done. And everything that I have to go through to get that done just improves me for the next obstacle. You know, it's like a building block. Like I'm not scared of losing anything. I done lost everything already.
Hmm.
I done lost 2 houses, 3 cars, and look at me. So it's like losing ain't. It's not even. Okay, been there, done that before. I know how to get back to this point, right?
Yeah.
So that's the stuff that I'm just legacy is really about leaving a legacy, man. So that like you got your podcast, you're setting an image around there. You're setting a platform, and you're building a platform, and it's not just for you. I don't know. I don't know if you have children or family or whatever, but everything you do is it's a it's a stage. I look at it, for everyone else to participate on.
Exactly. I want to create something that's going to give, like my nephews and nieces, an opportunity to work for, family and not punch no clock. But you're gonna bust your butt if you work for me, and you're gonna make things happen, and you're gonna grow. You're not gonna just, be a one trick pony when it comes to work ethic.
Right.
And I wanna venture out, and I want to create my own table instead of looking to get a seat at someone else's.
There
And
you go.
I want to instill that into them. Yeah, you could make X amount of dollars a year working for them, but you can also do that for yourself.
There you go.
And then grow from there. So stop being in the position where you have to wait every 2 weeks to pay a bill or make something happen or get your car fixed or, wait on anything. I want to get to a position to where I'm not counting those. I'm counting, how many buildings I'm leasing, how many properties that I'm managing, how many people I have employed, I want to get tired like yourself and want to take a break because I've been working so much, you
Right.
know that's the type of mentality I want for my friends and family and loved ones to have, not just for me, but for themselves as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, just keeping them like right now, one of the latest things that I kind of went through as of late is I was frustrated, right?
Hmm.
Because I'm at the point now where I need to step away from like the day to day stuff because it interferes with everything. It interferes with the family life, and. So now I'm at that point where, hey, I am like letting go of some stuff, right?
Hmm.
And I just come to a realization that okay, this is what I asked for. Because the more I let go, the more I have to put people in place to take over that, So I was in that like uncomfortable zone of like things are not going to get done the way that they need to be done unless I was doing it, right?
Hmm.
But now it's like your hand gets forced that this thing ain't going to grow if you still got your hand on it, So now I'm at that point where I have to force myself to step away, because it has to create opportunity for other people, So and that's what it is like I said, you're building that stage. I used to, if I had to edit something, I would edit it myself. I taught myself Photoshop and got real good at it too, you know. But I was trying to be the jack of all trades. So I was doing everything. So like now, this time around, I got people in the tech community that were helping me, right?
Hmm.
So like when I say I got an animator, I got a lady she's a killer animator, right? And she loves doing it. So I just put her on. Tahir had some stuff that needed to be done. Back in the day, I would have went and tried to do it for him and say, hey,
Hmm.
knowing I don't have time to do it every time, right? But now I was like, hey, Tahir, I know a guy. You see what I'm saying? I just created opportunity for somebody else. And he calls me up, man, thank you for that plug, so on and so on. That's what it's about. Like even for what you're doing, you just said your nieces and nephews. At some point, it's going to grow to the point that you need somebody to run this part or run that part. You know, so that's what it's all about in business. It's just the mindset of creating opportunity for others.
You're absolutely right. I'm definitely trying to build a team, and because even just running my social media and everything, it's a lot. So trying to do that and have a 9 to 5 and make sure I'm posting everything, weekly. It's getting kind of taxing, but this is what I want, like you said. So this is what is going to come with it until I get to that point, and
Right.
hopefully it comes sooner than later.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
So, what advice would you give someone who's trying to grow their business now?
What advice? My main advice would be that if you're going to go into any area of business, is being on top of it. A lot of people want to go into business and they want to do it like they want to generalize everything that they do, right?
Hmm.
But like when my buddies brought me on, they brought me on and I was earning my way. You know, I was working for $500 a week, and I was treating the business at that point as if it was my own, you know. Um, so I learned everything when it came down to customer interaction. There's nothing that you can ask me about popcorn that I don't know right now, because that's the thing. I had to learn every aspect of it, you know. Um, and that's what a lot of people in business tend to do. They tend to go into business because they like a certain aspect of it. So that's the only thing that they want to focus on, right?
Hmm.
But you can't, you know. One of the things, to me, I think one of the key things in business is being able to recreate yourself, to evolve. Because on a day-to-day basis, there's going to be several things that do not happen the way you plan for them to happen. And your ability to get over those hurdles is your ability to become a better business person. So it's those are the things that supply like us suppliers don't have supplies. You got to find something else, some other way to meet the demand. Like right now, it's probably one of the it's kind of like a headache time because I got tons of business. Like I can go and you can attest to this. I can put something on Instagram right now and I can get 50 orders tomorrow if I want to.
Hmm.
But then I don't have a kettle guy, right? If my kettle guy doesn't show up, then I got 50 people that's real ticked off because their order is taking 3 weeks to get to them. So those learning how to overcome those obstacles. There's a lot of moving parts in business that people don't understand. And depending on what type of business it is, some businesses have more parts than others. So a person, number one, having the tenacity to ignore failure, you know, um, and I wouldn't, because I don't like the word failure, because to me, you only fail when you quit, right? So I like to call it obstacles, you know, going past the obstacles, being able to go past that uncomfortable state, that's what's going to get you through business. The business professor that I had told me, he goes, there's nothing that these people can teach you in business that's going to prepare you for business. And I didn't get what he meant by that, right? But what his point was, most of the stuff that you're going to end up going through are stuff that people haven't dealt with, especially if you're going through if you're doing something out the box, right? What can someone teach you in business if you're doing something that they don't understand? They're only going to try to get you to do it the way that they know to do it, right? So, like even here, I've talked to several people in business, right? On Clubhouse, actually. And I go in there, I'm talking to him, oh, this guy's a multimillionaire. He's done it, right? So Clubhouse is that platform where you get to talk to these people. And they go, oh, you know what? What you're going to have to do is downsize everything to 25 flavors. Well, if I do that, I'm just like the other guy. The whole point that I exist is that I got so many flavors and people love them. So no, what you're talking about now, you're trying to teach me to do something the way that you know how to do it, right? Essentially makes me just another popcorn shop. But then I had a guy that he owns, I think he owns 120 subways or something like that. It was something like that. And he says, you're on the right track. He's like, you're on the right track. He goes, I can't tell you anything. You're on the right track. He says, just keep doing what you're doing. You know, just, you got to improve what you're doing. Like you got to put people in place to take care of certain aspects of the business and things like that, you know. But it's like the business is where you want it to be, you know, because he asked me a whole series of questions. He's like, you're in a good spot, you know. So that's the thing, is being able to push past those uncomfortable parts is the most important part of business. You know, a lot of business sell before it's time to sell because they weren't able to push past that difficult, you know, spot. A lot of guys never get off the ground because they're upset because they lost their car, you know, or we lost a house. Really, we lost like 3 houses, if we want to be technical, you know. But the house that we live in now is paid for. So go figure. You know, I could have been went back and punched the clock a long time ago. It's not hard for me to go get a job, I don't think, you know. But it's just being able to push past that difficult. A lot of people can't push past those difficult periods and what they want, you know. Because there's a lot of things I want. I got expensive taste. There's a whole lot of things that I want, you know. But it's like I'll get them in due time, you know. I'll get them in due time because it's like that. By the time you get what you want, it's going to be something else better, right?
Yeah, you absolutely right. There's a lot of unforeseen hardships that comes with any new venture in life, especially when it comes to business and getting off the ground. And it takes determination and fortitude because Amazon didn't know what it was until it got there. You know, Tesla didn't know what it was until they got there. I mean, look at Disney. You know,
And
companies like that took an idea and it blew up from there. You know.
doors open, and that's the thing. Because you said Amazon, he was selling books.
Mm-hmm.
He was literally selling books. You know, now he's the largest retailer in the world. You know, so it's opportunities, and then I don't think you can think too big. People would make you, you know, you would talk to people. I see it all the time. I'll say something to somebody, and it's like you can read a person's mind. You can read when they're taking what you're saying serious or not. You know, it's like, okay, you know, oh, here we go again, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can ever think too big, you know, because someone looked at Bill Gates when he said he was going to put a computer in every household in America. They thought he was crazy, right? I'm sure some people looked at him like, okay, whatever. Now look, there's like 2 or 3 computers in every household in America because your phone is a computer.
Exactly.
You know?
I couldn't believe just the progression in technology from 18 years ago, and it's just like I remember when like the first smartphones came out and how uh, basic they were compared to a simple iPhone these days. But now you got people that's doing they have their whole life vested into it. Like your phone can record a movie. It can be used to run your business, hold meetings, do transactions, and back in the day, the best they could do was, play music and answer, the phone. And then you can get on the internet,
Yeah.
which was all separate. And I think they were still like running off minutes or something like that at the time.
Yeah. And now, you can take a phone. I had a phone, a Samsung Note, and you can literally convert that into a computer. You plug it into a monitor and add a Bluetooth keyboard, and it will turn into a desktop computer.
Yeah, that's that, something like that. Um, a lot of people don't know because not to sound stereotypical, but they say people don't read the instructions. They just figure it out.
Right.
So you like the Xbox, the original Xbox back in the day, with the proper settings, you could have done stuff like burn CDs with it.
Yeah.
And things like that instead of just playing video games. But not everyone was tech savvy and even know that it had that feature.
I had buddies, and in the hood, I had guys that I knew would come to the barber shop selling movies that they burned off of Xbox.
Exactly. So you had a whole money making device that you was just playing Madden on and never realized the potential you had. I mean, the same with like how Too Short got his start when he was recording mixtapes on a cassette player and pausing it and stuff like that, just sitting in his room. This was the 80s, so if you do the research and you think outside your box of what's the norm,
Yep.
you got so many opportunities that sit in your household every day that you don't even realize that you're wasting your potential. Like, yeah, it's going to come slow, and with anything that you do, it's going to take time. But if you put enough fortitude behind it, you'll change your life forever.
Definitely. Definitely. And that's why I said anything that you're going into, you have to go into it. I think my oldest daughter, I get on her nerves because she's got that camera and I'm always on her case, like, hey, you know, do you know what this means? Do you know what this means? Do you know what this means? And she'll send me a picture and she'll say, she'll want me to commend her on it, right? And I always play the hard game on her because I'm always wanting her to dig deeper, right? Because if you're going to do something and that's going to be your craft and that's going to be your trade, you got to master it, So I tell her what did you shoot it at? And she'll stutter and like, so you lucked up. You lucked up with a good picture because you can't recreate it, right? I do that to her because now when she sends me something, she's going to think. She's going to think before she sends it to me, right? Because she already know how I'm going to come at her, and that's anything that we do. I'm on my employees all the time, just from something as simple as selling popcorn, right? When a customer comes in the door, it's not, hello, how are you? No, we don't do that. It's have you been here before? And if they say they haven't, they got a whole spiel that they have to go into, and all it's set that way because we analyze what triggers the customer, what makes the customer buy, what turns the customer off. You got to think that much into it. Otherwise you're just going to get the result that you put into it. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. You're going to get the results of whatever you put into whatever you're doing.
Absolutely right. Let me ask you a question. What do you miss most about that's shut down now due to quarantine and everything?
What do I miss? Right now, I miss the ability to travel because right now I'm at the point I want to take me and the wife and go somewhere and disappear for like a week or two. But outside of that, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been so busy. I haven't really. I know that everybody's saying it's a pandemic, but I haven't had the chance to really experience it like that
Okay.
because it hasn't. Things have been busy for us. My wife and I, we purchased uh, two cars at the beginning of about this time last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the cars had about 35,000 miles on it, and the other one had 3,000 miles on it. Now, the one that had 30 something thousand miles has like 69,000. The one that had 3,000 miles on it has like 26, 27,000 miles. So in a year between the two of us, we put over 50,000 miles on vehicles. So I really haven't,
Yeah.
I haven't really had that chance to really miss anything, to be honest with you. Not like that. And I'm not a big shopper like that. Not traditional shopper. Like I'm not one to go to a 50 million store, like that and find it fun.
You and me both. I didn't mind going into the mall or shopping centers every now and then, but I kind of got used to mine is clothes shopping, ordering offline. You know,
Mhm.
the convenience of it, especially since I work all the time. But one thing I miss, man, is Red Lobster, being able to sit down and enjoy my meal and the movie theaters.
Okay. Okay. See, I wasn't never really a movie theater person. Um, Probably more or less in the last year or so than ever in my life. I'm a movie person though. Love
Hmm.
movies. But I grew up in church and we didn't really go to the movies like that. So we would rent movies like nonstop. Like I'm a movie head. I'm probably seen every movie out there, you
Okay.
know. Uh, but I've grown like I don't even like going to games anymore. Like the basketball games, the
Hmm.
basketball games, because to me it's a better experience at home. Because you go to a game, number one, I don't know how your budget is, but even my budget was gonna be nosebleed seats anyway. you know, and it ain't no replays at the game.
Hmm.
It ain't no commentary at the game. So I kind of like that home experience when it came to that anyway. So one thing I did do last year was when I redid my bedroom, I put 90 inches in the bedroom.
Okay.
I had won a projector off of one of the tech influencers, and it was a high end projector, and I put that in the bedroom. So like I'm looking at 90 inches, you know. So
Yeah.
you know,
You got the best picture in Gary right now.
right, So it's like, but I don't know. I think now that I'm at the point of needing a vacation or something, that's the main thing. I'm looking for that opportunity where I can fly out somewhere with the wife and we just kick back and not have to worry about anything.
Man, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I haven't had a vacation in about 3 years, so I told myself I'm gonna take a big trip at the end of the year, but I'll probably go to I don't know Miami or something in the next few months just to get away because I worked the entire quarantine just like yourself,
Mhm.
and the most time I got off was like holidays, so I'm due for it.
Now, now you just mentioned it. Now I come from a big family, and holidays we all would gather at my parents' house and do the whole big black folk spread of food. You
Hmm.
know, eat yourself until you hurt
Hmm.
and talk about any and everything. So I do miss that. That's what I miss. If I miss anything, that's what I miss.
Yeah,
It was odd going through all the holidays and not being able to see everybody in one space.
yeah, ain't nothing like that itis feel after sitting around talking with family, reminiscing about the good old days of what happened over the past few months. Like, especially if you got a fool in the family that likes, entertaining everybody.
Right. Exactly.
Man. So 2021, man, it sounds like you want to be slowly but surely making big headways. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. 2021. Uh, a, a, a a perfect 2021 for me would be releasing a lot of this to someone else, um, and mainly concentrating on the growth of it, like the taking it national, and then my other project hitting hard, hitting hard, so that I'll have more time to do more of the back end of the business, talking to people like you, talking to people doing deals. That's the part of it that I'm looking forward to. Being able to get out there and kind of put the brand out there and work relationships and things like that. Uh, I'm 45. I'm getting a little too old for the grunt work.
Hey, you ain't never lied about that. I told myself that I got to put in as much time that I kept pushing off before I decided to take it easy. So it's going to be nonstop for me. When I get off my 9 to 5, I'm hitting up people, I'm responding to DMs, I'm setting up my next guest, and I'm working on my next thing. Like I want to do another show that I'm thinking about, but one thing at a time. But other than that, I gotta keep pushing this content out. I gotta keep getting, good guests like yourself on here and giving them the information like what you just gave me about creating opportunities for yourself and building something that will last generation, building an inheritance.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. Like I told you, one of my business mentors said that if you solve a problem, you'll always have business. You know, that's where most of my original business endeavors come from. This right here, I inherited this. Um, but if you can solve a problem, you know, uh, no one can undercut free, right?
Hmm.
That's kind of like what drives me in business. Being able to go that route, something that I don't have to market and sell to someone. Convince them that, hey, this is what you want. Because if it's something you need, the first time I mention it, you're gonna tell me, hey, I need that, right? If I tell you, like when I mentioned animation, the first thing you said is you were gonna need an animator because that's something you need.
Hmm.
I didn't have to sell you on it or whatever, right? So that's kind of my business philosophy for the other endeavors that we have to offer.
Man, I would like to see you advertise yourself teaching a master class when it comes to business because I got a lot of people that I was forced to sign up for it because they need to hear that because they only hear it one way and there's different ways for people to pick up information, and I didn't find it difficult at all to follow anything you said, and I felt more receptive of it. You know what I'm saying? Us coming from similar backgrounds from different locations.
Right, I got you. I got you. Yeah, man, I'm looking forward for more people hearing it and hearing the opportunity, to do things. Like I said, if you're not willing, someone once said this, if you ain't willing to do it for free, you ain't gonna make it. Because most of the time in business, guess what? You're doing a lot for free before you make your first true dollar. this whole Instagram lifestyle of jumping in front of a Phantom or a Lamborghini. I got 100,000 followers and I make 6 figures a month. I read a book called The Millionaire Next Door. That ain't no true figures a month. You can make 6 figures a month all day long, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if it don't land in your bank account and stay there, you don't make 6 figures a month. That's the end of that story.
Hey, you ain't tell no lies, man. I tell you that. So let me ask you a question. Who do you think is a better storyteller, Bill Cosby or Richard Pryor?
Better storyteller?
Mm-hmm.
Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby?
Yeah.
In your experience?
In my experience, Bill Cosby. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I would have to say Bill Cosby.
I grew up on Richard Pryor. I learned about Bill Cosby, watching like the Cosby Show and everything. It wasn't until later on in life that I got a chance to check out his stand up. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of biased because that I was born in the '80s and that's what I grew up watching.
Mm-hmm.
The people in the '80s that influenced me, like him, Eddie Murphy, Robin Harris, people from that generation. So
I'll tell you the reason why I came to that conclusion. I don't think you're a good storyteller unless everyone can hear your story.
okay,
So the difference between Bill Cosby and Richard Pryor is Richard Pryor was great to those that were willing to listen to his conversation.
okay,
You understand what I'm saying?
yeah,
I'm a church boy, right?
yeah,
So some conversation turns me off because of the way it's presented.
okay,
You see what I'm saying? So that's where the business end of me kicks in. That's why I choose Bill. Because don't get me wrong, Richard Pryor was hilarious, right?
mm-hmm.
But if I can't watch Richard Pryor in front of my kids,
Yeah, you know what? That's totally understandable. Making yourself, I guess, available for everybody is the difference between certain, comics or entertainers and things of that nature. So
yeah,
I'm assuming you're a big fan of like Sinbad.
yes, Sinbad was hilarious. And honestly, I didn't figure that out until later.
Okay.
Because I didn't grow up wanting to listen to Sinbad. We used to sneak and listen to Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor. Until one night I saw a Sinbad show and he had me in stitches. This guy is sitting here talking about waiting at McDonald's and had me rolling.
I know the way you're talking about too. That's why I laugh.
So yeah, I think Sinbad was a comedic genius just because of the fact that he was able to present and everybody laughed, whether you were used to Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, or not.
Yeah, you absolutely right. I mean, if you can make everyone in the room laugh without trying, and that's what most of those people are, it's them being themselves, then, I think that, you're a step above the rest. If you, not to say that other people are one trick ponies, but if you can only get 75%, then you ain't got it yet.
Yeah, and that's the way I look. If my popcorn only appeals to black folks, which I'm proud that I'm a black-owned business and my people like my product, but if it only appeals to black folks, I'm losing money.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So that's yeah. Whenever you can get a large demographic, then you're more successful. So that's the reason why I choose Bill Cosby over Richard Pryor, because
Hey,
you know.
hey, I got no problem with that. All right. So I got one more question for you, then I'm gonna let you go. I know you're a busy man.
Okay.
Um, who do you think is funnier, Kev on stage or Tahir Moore?
Who do I think is funny? I think they're two different lanes.
Okay.
I think they're two different lanes. I cannot answer that. I can't. I cannot answer that because I don't know if it's because they hung with each other so much. It's like they're similar but different.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
two sides of the same coin.
yeah. So it's kind of like I don't know. It pans out for me. To be honest with you, I like both of them together. Like
Yeah.
if they were to part ways, you know, and never do anything together again, I don't think either one would be as successful.
Man, that might be the case. I tell you what, it wasn't until I heard Kev talk about it on one of his shows,
Mhm.
but he was funny enough that I never noticed that he did cuss. And I was like, that's true. And his product stands behind it. Like his brand stands behind it. Like I watch, all those guys. Like it started with Roast Me. I found them on Facebook. And then I was like, man, who are these guys? Because they're a trip. And then I started actually figuring out who they were individually and then watching All Death grow. It took it a hiatus, but then it came back. And I just was like, that's what I keep on my playlist. People like that. Like I said, they got me through the quarantine and, I got all notifications on for everything that I'm following for them,
Right.
So they not just entertaining, but they're inspiring, people like me who want more out of life. So, I tip my hat off to both of those guys at all time. And I myself, I couldn't pick, when it came to that question, when I thought about it, but, they're both, just funny in all rights, in my opinion.
And that's what because they're funny separate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you get both of them together, it's like to me is the chemistry that they have together. You know what I'm saying? It's just to me it's all you can't go wrong. So it's like and maybe that's what it is. I never really see them in my mind. I've never placed one away from the other.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, like, I watch Zooming with the Homies and I support it, I still see Tahir, but I see Tahir and Kevin together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, to me, their brand of comedy is a piece of a kind of like a joint venture. You know what I'm saying? And even though Tahir is more, like he'll do the unclean comedy or whatever, but still, it's kind of like a brand thing. You know what I'm saying? And to me, I just don't see it any other way. Maybe if they were like two separate entities in two different places, then I would be forced to see it like that. But right now, I think it's a brand of comedy that they have that's kind of like on notice now.
Yeah, their foolishness, tickles my soul. You know, just
you know
them.
what they are? They are they're the new generation of Wayne.
That you know what? you hit the nail on the head with that. I never thought about that. Like the Wayans is a whole collective of funny, and in that particular group right there, you know what? You absolutely right. As far as when it comes to creativity and being off the wall, And you talking about hit after hit when it comes to videos and creation. Yeah, you're right. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, so that's why I get out of it. Like you really didn't start seeing Damien and everyone separate until after And Living Color was done.
Mm-hmm.
Then you see how they stood separately. You know,
Yeah.
so you were able to appreciate it afterwards.
Oh
But
man.
if
I,
you
I,
think
I,
back in the day, you thought In Living Color, point blank. You know, that's what you thought.
yeah. Keenan's brain was working in 2020 back in the 90s because he was ahead of his time, and a lot of people, that was 30 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. I just thought about that was 30 years ago.
Yep.
And he
Yep.
broke so many stars and celebrities that I mean, of course they honor the show, but to have that done these days will be kind of impossible because people don't know how to work together when it comes to certain things. And
Yeah.
I think that's the difference. Like, yeah, you're right. Like I can see something like that happening, especially with um Kev's app and the way he's putting everyone on.
Yeah.
I see the next brainchild coming up. They call him Tyler Perry, but the way he's building things, man, he's more of a Keenan.
Yeah, and that's what he's more of a Keenan. Um, I just noticed because I talk to Ty Davis every once in a while,
Mm-hmm.
and she reminds me because she's been doing a lot on Instagram. She reminds me of their sister that used to do the gossiper,
Kim.
Kim. She reminds me of Kim on because she be doing some TikTok, and I'm like, if they did a movie on the Wayans brothers, she could play Kim, and she can do that skit flawlessly.
You know what? You absolutely right. Like, oh man, there's a lot of comedians that I got put on to that I follow faithfully now based on that show. Like Delay, Nick Cartons, and Ty Davis. Like she's in Baltimore, which is not too far from where I am. And I hadn't heard about her until I watched that show. And then I went back and saw her stand up and I was like, man, she is funny. And like in all right.
She's, I mean, naturally funny. Like
Mm-hmm.
just talking to her naturally funny. Because I was trying to help her with a phone, because she's just not tech savvy.
Mm-hmm.
And the stuff that she was saying is just it's just funny, It's just naturally funny. So yeah, man, they got something. They got something.
Yeah.
If they get heavy into the skits and stuff, they got something.
Man, I can't wait to see what direction it goes. I know it's going to be up, and watching them, I mean, with the way everything's going on, I stream everything, and probably 90% of everyone else does too. So when they become a household name, I think it'll be like a proud moment, especially for everyone who saw where they came from and where they at now.
Yeah, I think we're at the beginning of another Black Renaissance moment
Mm-hmm.
in time, and I can't wait to see what comes out of it.
Man, you and me both.
Yeah, yeah,
Man, this has been dope, man. Lebarron, I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to come on my show and get me hip to a lot of stuff that I wasn't aware of and a lot of stuff I think people need to know. And I would love to have you back on in the future. Hopefully it'll be after your vacation, but if not,
right.
right before. So why don't you let the people know where they can find you at, man? And I want you to plug in that the nonprofit you was telling me about.
Okay, well, of course, Popcorn World is doingtheworldofflavor.com. Um, you can find that. We got popcorn. We got two Instagram handles. That's a whole nother discussion for another day. But we got Doing the World of Flavor and Popcorn World on Instagram. We got Popcorn World on Twitter. Then you can find me personally on Twitter, Lebarron Burton Sr. on Twitter, Lebarron Burton Sr. on Instagram, and Lebarron Burton on Facebook. And our not-for-profit is Woodland Child Development Center, where my wife runs. We're in Hammond, Indiana, and we are woodlandcdc.com. I'm looking at her. woodlandcdc.com. And we are expanding that to the Gary area as soon as possible. And my pet project that should be coming out at the end of the month, if anybody wants to see the progress on it, it's up at schoolbids.com. It's schoolbidz.com. And we're steadily working on that. That's going to be, as I said, that's going to be my $1 billion baby.
Okay, that's what's up. So I got to make sure you send me those links so I can plug them once I post this episode. Like I said, I've been honored to have you on the show, and I look forward to having you on again, and dropping some more jewels, and maybe you would have started writing that book I've been talking about, and if you do come out, make sure you give me a shout out, like somewhere in the first 5 pages. I'd appreciate it.
Definitely. Because I didn't even, sometimes you don't even realize that you have that much, but you live life long enough, then you realize you got a testimony, so I am going to be looking to do that pretty soon. Got a couple of more accomplishments I want to get under my belt first.
Hey, take your time and do it right,
Definitely.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another dope interview. I am your host, the Landover Legend, aka Big T, and this was the I Can't Make This Up podcast. I can't, with a K, make this up podcast. You can find this podcast everywhere podcasts are available: Apple, Radio Public, iHeart, Spotify, Overcast, Pocket Cast. Anywhere you can get a podcast, you can find me. I'm also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. I Can't Make This Up podcast. So please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And please follow my man, Lebarron. Check out all of his companies, because I guarantee you he's going to be on the cover of Fortune real soon, especially when it comes to tech.